make sure when you're to the showing stage, they are a transactional buyer.
You should not have to show more than 10 houses to generate an offer.
Put them in the right bucket. Maybe they're
Right.
an aspirational research buyer. You're
Right.
out there showing houses when they're not transactional.
You really shouldn't be looking at more than 5 houses per day.
I have a question to start the episode off.
Okay.
Where do you think agents waste the most time showing houses?
Don't waste time showing houses. What we're going to talk about today is just making sure when you are doing your showings, you're efficient. And this can be so frustrating sometimes because you can kill a whole day, not be able to get your head back in the game. Stuff piles up just by doing showings for half a day. It can ruin a whole day and even maybe go to the next one. So, we're real big here at the Agent Bridge on making sure you're doing things efficiently and effectively so that you can maintain your business, even when you're having to do the customer service aspects of it. So, and let's just be honest, showing day can be nerve-wracking because you're trying to lead clients to the right property. You're going to have to be organized. You've got to set things up right. You are in the driver's seat, literally. You are the guide. And most of the time people are going to be following you in the car. That can be stressful because you're just like, I'm the navigator and, having to open up the door and simultaneously trying to sell the house. And so we're going to talk about these things that ensure that you're going to have an efficient, successful showing day that doesn't completely kill your week, right? Or kill the day or 2 days after. So before we get in, of course, make sure that you like, subscribe. We do have a t-shirt offer. If you give us a Google business review, which is in the show notes, you can get a free t-shirt. We sent a few of those out in this past week. And a reminder about Six Figure Real Estate School. We're starting off our October cohort. If you don't know about Six Figure School, look in the show notes. It's an 8-week boot camp for people who want to make multiple six figures in real estate. And we're excited to get this new cohort in. We've already got a couple of people in there. And we're going to fill that class. So join us.
theagentbridge.com/course. It'll also be in the show notes.
That's right. So yeah, make sure you guys sign up for that.
Yeah. So I have a question to start the episode off.
Okay.
Where do you think agents waste the most time showing houses?
It's in not setting the rules or the client expectations up front. What so many agents do is they let the clients run the show and they'll go, well, what do you guys want to see? When do you want to see it? And if you start to approach it from that, you're always going to be on your heels and you're going to always be at the mercy of these people whenever they want to look at a house or, we want to go look at 20 houses today, which doesn't even make sense. And so and we're going to talk about that in a minute, but you've got to lay out how this works. And that's what we're going to cover today. Laying out the rules and organizing it in such a way that it's going to be like, you're going to leave that day, hopefully with a sold house. So, and let me just lay this out. You should not have to show more than 10 houses to generate an offer. If you do, most likely the cause is that you were being inefficient or you weren't being a good guide to your buyers. And so we're going to talk about why that is and get into the philosophy. And you may disagree with that.
Or you didn't properly put them in the right bucket. Maybe they're
Right.
an aspirational research buyer. You're
Right.
out there showing houses when they're not transactional.
Right.
That could certainly be it as well. So make sure when you're to the showing stage, they are a transactional buyer. You can show 1, maybe 2 houses to help them do a little bit of research. But
Right.
past that, they need to be driving around, finding the neighborhoods, the grocery stores, the school zones that they want to be in. And when they get to the transactional stage, then we start going on showing.
Yeah, that's right. And it's understanding people aren't going to like magically buy a house out of the blue. There is a reason, there's a life event, and sorting through in a conversation, finding out why they're moving is incredibly important. And discovering their timeline is incredibly important so it can help you direct your time efficiently.
Yeah.
Because there are people out there that will just look at houses for fun and waste a ton of time. And so you've got to basically sort through that. I understand there's some customer maintenance in there, but we're going to sort through some of that stuff.
People don't decline showings or decline to show houses to their clients because they're afraid that they're going to go find another agent who will.
Right.
But in fact, what your clients need from you is how to get more educated in the home buying process,
Yeah.
so that they know when they should be taking time to go do these showings. So that's your job, to educate them, to let them understand about what they should be looking for, the criteria they need to be considering. And then when it's time to look at houses, you're there.
Yeah. One of the things that I am adamant about is that you really shouldn't be looking at more than 5 houses per day, even if, okay, you've got out of town folks like relocation, because sometimes people were like, I want to look at these 20 houses, which is kind of unreasonable. You know, what I would do is if it is a relocation buyer, and I don't want to go down too far of a rabbit hole, but if it is a relocation buyer, showing them the towns one day and then going to look at 5 houses a day after that.
I've done the 20 showings a day before, not super willingly, but done it. And trust me, you don't remember a single one of them.
No.
You have no idea what you saw, which houses had the nice kitchen or the laundry room. You don't remember.
It's psychologically impossible to remember more than 5 houses a day. You're not going to be able to sort through it. It gets muddy at number 6, and it's proven, right? It gets muddy at number 6. So, and then you can't remember what kitchen was in what house at what location. And then what are we even doing?
I'm going to give you a scenario. Somebody's going to be like, oh man, I just loved the soft close cabinets in 123 Main Street. And you're like, actually that was in
That's exactly
456 West View.
Yes.
And you're like, so people don't remember. They get everything mixed up, and then they don't know what they want to go back and see or what was their favorite. It's too many houses.
Right. So what I tell them is, like, when we're going out and showings, I'm like, hey, here's how we're going to start. We're going to start with your top 5. I don't care what location it is. And generally they're narrowed in on location because of school systems or whatever. So you're going to say, we're going to pick the top 5, okay, that you want to look at. And I'm also telling them, out of those top 5, that number 1 will probably be gone tomorrow. And then it'll be another top 5. Okay. So just explaining that there are other people that are searching in the same category that they are, right? Same area, same neighborhood, same whatever. And out of those 5 houses, the number 1 is the one that's going to sell the quickest. So just making sure that they understand how that part works.
Yeah. There's 2 things you need to do. You need to get better at asking questions, and you get better at listening.
That's right.
So you're asking questions to determine what their most important criteria are. And then you're going to listen when they tell you what it really is.
That's right.
Because they're going to tell you it's one thing, and then you're going to hear them keep referencing the school zones, and you're going to be like, I keep hearing you say school zones, but that was not one of your top 5 criteria.
That's right.
Let's work that in.
So yes, 1 mouth, 2 ears, but ask questions and listen. Okay. So also the likelihood of that number 1 being in multiple offer, and so it's just the likelihood that they're going to sell. And sometimes they might need to wait, let that one sell. And then they're going to be that much more likely to write an offer the next day. And that's why it's like, typically you have to basically talk people through, hey, when your mom and your dad tells you they went and looked at 100 houses, that's a different world than we live in now. Because guess what we have? The internet. And we've got things that we can narrow down searches, and we don't have just a big magazine with the front of a house in it on it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Right. It's like
Newspaper.
we have a lot more detail. We can get a houses. So you don't have to look at 100 houses anymore. You really only should be looking at 5 a day. And then for you as the agent, by the time we get through day 2 of showing they should have made an offer. And if not, we need to completely reconvene. Okay. All right. The other thing is talk them through the restroom situation, because it's going to come up, okay? Because they're going to be like, I've got to use the restroom. So when I tell people, I was like, at the very beginning, I was like, hey, on restrooms, you can use them. So you don't even have to ask. You can just go use a restroom in a house if we're looking at it. And the other thing is always have toilet paper in your car. Because what happens if you go to new construction and there's not any? So always have toilet paper.
Always test the toilets too before you go into new construction. They may not flush.
Right. Yeah, that's always embarrassing if it doesn't flush. All right. Now, setting the showings. this is one it's a high level of customer service that you need to execute here, but you want to do printouts for everyone. You don't want to do it on your phone because there's so many things going on your phone. It helps to have something physical that you can reference and that you can take notes on.
I was going to say, if you didn't take notes, there's nothing worse than someone saying, "Hey, what was the square footage of this one?" and you can't answer because you're fumbling through your phone. "Oh, I don't remember," or, what's the HOA fee? I don't know. Like, have a printout, have all the information on there, so you can say it's boom, boom, boom.
Yep. The other thing is like understanding the route and the distance between showings will help you help you set the showings up properly or the right times. But here's what agents do that really, it's so funny to me because they'll make their showing schedule so tight. And you need flexibility. You need flexibility if the showing was, they're in and out, and you need flexibility if the showing takes some time.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why. So when agents go, I'm going to do 8:15 to 8:30, 8:30 to 8:45, 8:45 to 9, and then guess what? Your clients have to go stop by the gas station and use the restroom, and then you've created a whole like sand in your microchip sort of situation, and it's like you want to create some flexibility. So what I do is most of the time is 30-minute increments for showing the house, knowing that it's probably going to take 10 to 15 maybe, and overlapping those. So I'll go 9 to 10, or I'm sorry, 9 to 9:30, 9:15 to 9:45. So I'm overlapping them to give myself that flexibility because really we're going to be in and out in 10 to 15 minutes anyway, but it gives me that flexibility. And then every third showing, I give myself a little break, like a little 15-minute break, because there's always going to be something that comes up.
Yep.
Okay. And then go ahead and either circle or write the cell phone number of the agents on the sheets, because it's inevitable you're going to be running early. You could be running early or you could be running late. And so you need to make that phone call to make sure it's okay. And then if not, we'll schedule a little break or Starbucks run or something. So yeah, knowing where all that stuff is in reference to the neighborhood, or where you might have like a little bit of a, you could take a quick break if you need to, in and around the neighborhood. So having that sort of like maybe oasis in that general area where you can stop off if you need to.
Yeah, while we're talking about little breaks, kind of ask some basic humanity type questions, right? Yeah. So do they want a lunch break? And if they don't, they may say, "Hey, you know what? We don't eat lunch." Well, you better pack yours, because if you eat one, they're not going to want you to go take a lunch break while they're, fumbling with their, where they want to go next. So make sure you ask typical type questions like that.
And also I would have like snacks and toys, right, to keep in your car. Like sometimes kids, you might need to have something for their kids to play with if they've got their kids with them, because it gets really boring for them. But also having just snacks there if somebody needs to. It's like, "Oh, I'm starving or need a granola bar," for yourself or for somebody else, right? Okay. All right. Staying on top of your navigation. So one of the things is like when you arrive at the house, the thing that you should do first after you open the door is go ahead and set the location for the next place. The reason why is because you don't want to be waiting in your car because the service is bad or something like that. Go ahead and set that next destination as soon as you walk in the house. Okay. Share that destination with the client, and you need to create a contingency plan. Hey, if you're following me and you lose me, or I would say, hey, I'm going to send you each destination. Go ahead and log in your phone in case, we get caught up in traffic, and just meet me at the house. Okay. So share that destination with them. And then make sure you have a cell phone holder for your car and a cell phone charger for your car, because there is nothing worse than running out of, and it has happened. There's nothing worse than running out of juice for your cell phone and you forgot your car charger, or you're trying to navigate like this because you don't have a cell phone holder. Those are just things that are very practical to make sure that you have to have a successful showing experience, because you don't want your phone to go dead while you're opening the key box. Yeah,
most people aren't used to navigating to an unknown location while someone's following you, and being stressed about how many houses you're seeing while you have to open doors in front of a crowd, like all these different things.
Yeah.
Be as prepared as you can.
The other thing is, if you find one that they really, really like, okay, go ahead and call the agent while you're traveling to the next destination, So that way you can add some information to them. It's like, hey, I talked to the agent about this property. It has another offer on it, would be one of them. Or it's like, hey, they said they're offering, this amount of closing costs. Just makes you look professional.
Absolutely.
Stay on top of it.
Yep.
Okay. All right. When you go to the showing, this is what you do. Because a lot of agents, they think it's like, well, let me show them around the house and let me walk them through. Do not do that. Give them privacy. Here's your job as an agent. You walk in, you go, hey, this is 4-bed, 3-bath, 2,700 square feet. And it's been on the market 30 days.
Yep.
And then you go, and then what your job is to do is go start looking at systems and the particulars of the house, like from a systems perspective.
If Dad's come along on all the showings and he's asked at the first 2 what the age of the water heater and HVAC is, go look at the age of the water heater and the HVAC and come back and proactively tell him that. That this is your job now. They're walking the house, they're talking to it, they're trying to fall in love with it. You're trying to go and get some basic information that they might want to know if they were to get to the point that they're going to make an offer. So again, water heaters, HVAC, is it septic or is it sewer? What the annual taxes are, all these types of things you can go collect while they're off, taking a look at the beds and baths.
So one of the things that I used to do, because in Oklahoma, when I was showing a lot, Oklahoma does slab foundations, so they don't do crawl space very much.
Right.
And so in those slab foundations, they will run the air conditioning ventilation underneath the slab. So what would happen is if you found sand or rust in that duct, then they would require a scope and repair. And then you're typically going to find somewhere where the ductwork has failed, if there's sand in there or if there's rust in there. And what I would do is I would start opening those things up because I wanted to know on the front end, if they like this house, let's negotiate the offer on the front end. So that way it's not a surprise during the inspection.
That's right.
Because that's could be a $2,000 or $3,000 fix. And I didn't want it to ruin the inspection. So it's like, hey, there's rust or there's dirt or there's sand in there. So I can tell you right now, we need to go ahead and make them aware of it and that it needs to be affixed if there's something wrong.
That's right.
Then we negotiate that on the front end. So, okay. All right. But yeah, the idea is you're looking at those systems and let them have privacy and conversation and make them comfortable. And the best way to make them comfortable is by you leaving, right? Going to do your stuff.
If they have a question for you, they're going to say, hey, Brandon, could you come here for a second? Or, they're going to ask and they're going to feel much more comfortable walking around with their family than they are with you, puppy dogging them around the house.
Yeah. I always think it looks way more professional for you to be looking at the systems and the operational parts.
And you could say, look, hey, I'm going to go take a look at a few things on my own. If you guys need me, you know how to find me.
But you're looking out for them.
Yeah.
You're not getting caught up in the emotion. You're the one that's doing that.
That's right.
Due diligence for them. Okay. So again, the other thing is don't insert your thoughts about a property. You can ask them, what do you guys think? But don't go back, this layout's weird. Or, one of the things that I did one time, and I think I hurt their feelings, is I said, boy, somebody's definitely smoked in here. And she goes, oh, well, it just reminds me of the smell of my dad because her dad was a smoker. So I was like, oh, God, yeah, I shouldn't have said that, right? Yeah. And so I learned the hard way. It's like, don't insert your thoughts or your opinions or whatever, because people have different, viewpoints on things. Right. And so it may not be a big deal for them, or they may like a weird layout.
All kinds of things can put you into trouble there. You're like, who would put this door here? And then it ends up being the house they offered on, and you've now kind of said something that you didn't like about it. So just they'll ask you if you have an opinion, and if you do, share it honestly, but just keep the interjections out.
Right. The other thing is I tell my clients, I'm like, hey, look, we're going to keep 3 houses on the list. Right. These are going to we're going to have our top 3. If we're not going to go beyond 3, we're not going to have our top 4. We're only going to have our top 3. So if you want to put one in the top 3, one of them has to come off, and that keeps everybody focused, and focused on it. And it starts. So they're starting to make little decisions that lead them to the eventual decision to making an offer.
Most of the time, they're going to end up with really a top 2.
Right. That's right.
It's going to be between 1 or 2.
So we don't go beyond that top 3, so we can eliminate eliminate the decision so we're not creating, a massive amount of decisions later. Okay. But what I do tell them is like, hey, that number one property statistically is gone tomorrow.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, the house that, and the other thing is clients will be like, well, okay, we really, really like this house. We love it. I think we love it. Well, can we go sleep on it? And then we'll call you tomorrow. And I say, look, the one you sleep on tonight and offer on tomorrow is the one someone slept on last night and is offering on today. So I said, so your best case scenario is go ahead and write an offer on it, tie it up in negotiation. If you decide in the negotiation part that you don't want it, then you can kind of move off of it. But go ahead and let's get something moving on it if you really want the house. Because if you don't, the likelihood is it's going to be gone.
Yep.
Right. You're not the only person out looking at houses. And so just make sure that you've communicated that expectation up front. And so you don't sound salesy as a part of, helping them make decisions.
There's obviously exceptions to this, right? Like the house has been on the market 60 days and you've talked to the agent. There's not a lot of activity. Like, okay, maybe. But, if the house has been on the market less than 10 days, chances are there's some interest.
Yeah, exactly. But ultimately, having a plan, having a way that which you carry out the showings is incredibly important, as you kind of go out there and get out in the world of showing, because, again, you can waste so much time. And really it's about, if you're walking people through this guide and they are pushing back on it, then I would sort of question if they're really serious buyers or not. Because, if you're really trying to accomplish something, right, you're trying to purchase a home and you've got a life event, right, there's no time to be wasted.
Yeah.
Right.
And one of the main reasons we even talk about this is your job as an agent is not to run around and write contracts and show houses.
Yeah.
It's to generate new business. And the more time you're wasting showing houses and doing the things that aren't getting you new business, the more time you're wasting. So it's important to talk about this. It's important to think about this because agents want to feel busy.
Yeah.
They want to feel busy writing contracts and showing houses, but they need to feel busy making phone calls.
That's right, and generating new business.
And generating
it can be
new
easy
business.
to get distracted.
Yeah.
The other reason that you have a system for this is because as your business grows, you will run out of time.
No
and
question.
You're going to have to delegate. So if you've got a dialed in system of how this works, then guess what? You can give that system to someone else and they can execute on that system the way that you would have done it. And then you can ensure the customer satisfaction.
Yeah.
Now, the other question might be is like, well, how do I do that without the clients feeling handed off? All you do is you bring that showing person with you to that first meeting and say, hey, this is Olivia. She helps me, as we start to do showings because I'm not available all the time. So she helps me with showings from time to time. And then you can do it that way, and then it's not a problem later.
The less information they have, the more they feel handed off. So if you tell them up front, hey, just so you know, I have a showing assistant, I have someone that helps me with contract paperwork, I have this, I have that, you will encounter all of these people throughout the transaction. They're going to understand, like right up front. So if you show a house one time, but Olivia shows a house another time, they're going to say, oh yeah, we talked about that.
Yeah, exactly. All right. Well, what else as we recap?
I think that's it.
And we just need to talk about six-figure real estate school, new cohort. I know I said at the top of the meeting, but just say again, we are having such great success with these classes, and they're really fun. It's fun to see people take off, right, in their business.
Especially like during the class.
Yeah,
We've had a
exactly.
few that are take off during the class. They've got multiple properties under contract or listed during the class. So
Yeah, that's always fun to watch that and to see them have that new belief level about their business. And so one of the things that we're dogmatic about in six-figure real estate school is that we're not just educating you, or we're not just sitting you in a training class. We're giving you action items that are going to create results, and we're having an active conversation about your business while you're doing it. So that's a differentiator. That's what makes us different than a lot of these training courses, is that we are doing it now and we're having feedback now. And so I'm excited about this next class. I would love for you guys to be in it. If you're interested, just book a discovery call, and that's going to be on the show notes as well.
That's right.
Okay. All right, guys. Great to do another episode. Thank you guys so much for your feedback. Thank you so much for liking and subscribing. We'll see you next week. Bye.